American, what, you get Lifetime Foundation.
Yeah, the Lifetime Achievement, which number is she?
Oh, 19.
19.
No,
Is it 19 or 20?
No,
it's the 19th party. It's the 19th party.
So she would be 18 because last year was.
No, because we didn't do it from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
But we,
Okay.
yeah, we didn't do, you know Bob Blackburn? Oh my God. And he was here. He was out there in the yard. And Brian Hoffman said to me, why did we do it? And I said, because we didn't talk it over with the board. I said, just do it. What's wrong with you? Do it. And she was right, because he didn't come back to us again. Bob Blackburn was, oh my goodness. He's the one that got me into because at City College where I went, I used to go for coffee one day. In the printmaking class, I went for coffee. And donuts. I could not do, printmaking is so hard.
It's hard.
Oh.
It is.
Did you do printmaking? Any of these printmakers, prints?
No,
No. There you go.
but I did printmaking.
You did some. Was it good?
No, it was too processed.
There you go. I know she would have agreed.
You don't have to do that. You do that.
I never feel Right, right. But Bob Blackburn came to my first exhibit and he saw my prints and he said, come to me. And I said, I can come to you? And he said, yes. And I went there and that did it for me. Wow. Anyway, here we are with the fabulous Beverly McIver. Wonderful, wonderful artist. And I'm so proud and happy that we're able to invite you here to for people to see you and hear you. And tell us a little, I'm not going to say tell us a little bit about yourself. I hate that. I hate that. When and where were you born? We need to know that.
I was born in Greensboro, North Carolina, in 1962.
That's when I married my second.
Oh my God. Wow. My mother was Ethel McIver. So I have two sisters that are both here.
There they are over
Renee
there.
and Ronnie.
Where are you?
Right there, right over there.
All right. Good.
Two sisters. And we grew up in Greensboro, single parent.
Do you think things have changed much in North Carolina? In North Carolina, since, well, God, 1962, 62.
Well, you know, when I left Greensboro in 1989, oh, actually in 81, to go to school at North Carolina Central University, which was in Durham, and I vowed never to go back, so I hated the South. And especially Greensboro, because it's still fairly segregated. And I just had a, you know, it was bus K through 12 across town, so out of the projects into middle class white neighborhood schools. And, you know, so I felt like I was straddling two worlds. You know, I was living over here in the projects where things were happening, and people were poor and suffering, and then I would go to these white schools, predominantly white schools that had access to everything.
But that was your choice, right?
Well, no, it was bus. We were bused.
No,
So-
I'm saying, couldn't you have not done that?
It was involuntary busing?
It was voluntary busing.
Yeah.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
So you could have not.
Oh, no. That's
Involuntary. It's involuntary.
involuntary busing.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
so,
had a choice.
yeah, so, but they were trying to desegregate.
See, when you came along, it was some kind of force thing. They were
That's
trying to make up what, when I came along, we couldn't do it that way.
Oh.
But you were in the North, man.
PS 186. We did. I saw my mother. She said, I don't like the school. The school was right across the street from us. My mother said, no good. I don't care for the school. I have a friend who lives on Amsterdam Avenue, 145th Street, right up the street from PS 186. I'm going to use her address, and I'm going to take you up there. And that's what she did. She came, she brought me to school for, she walked me to school up the hill, and then she came for lunch, and she came, oh, my mother was something. She came lunchtime.
Is that right?
Yes, and she also came and brought me home. That's right. I had a fantastic education, but not anything like the city wanted to happen. They were trying to keep us segregated, but my mother said, no, I think I'm gonna pick the best school for you. That's it. Interesting, but that was like so many years. It's you 62. I went in. I was in the 30s, you all.
Yeah.
So I went to school. I was born in 30. So what was that? I didn't go to school in kindergarten and the first grade. I didn't go because I had asthma. My doctor didn't want me around kids with all the diseases and all, you know. So the second grade was, what was that? How was I in the second grade?
How old?
Yeah, about 6.
Seven.
Yeah, I was about 6 or 7.
So it was 1930.
7.
7, yeah, right. That's very interesting how we
That's
do
an
all
easy
that.
one.
I know.
And then it's.
And you had art in school?
What year did you start?
When you did start school?
Yeah.
No, did you have art in school?
Not until 10th grade.
Stop
11th
it.
grade. And it wasn't art, I was just drawing. I didn't actually paint until I went to undergraduate.
Wow.
I didn't start painting until undergraduate.
Undergraduate? Oh, that's
And CCU.
Isn't it? You had to do it, almost done it for yourself.
I couldn't afford paint. I didn't paint. I literally didn't paint until I went to undergraduate.
That is amazing. That's wonderful. See, in my day, in the 30s, they gave us everything. Oh, it says, did you have art in school? And I was wondering, why is she giving me that question? That time? But I see now it is.
Yeah. No, I did pencil drawings of all of my friends. That was sort of my senior project in high school. And they hung little drawings in the glass case in the hallway.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I didn't start painting until
That's
my
interesting.
second or third year at North Carolina Central University.
Oh, that is amazing. Because the little children over there, they're the best. They can just paint, they just like they come in the world with that. But you were able to come past all that. That's amazing. That is amazing.
When my mother died, we went through her things, and she had nothing like that from any of us.
Too, what a period you missed, but you made up for it. No, you did. That's great. What made you become a painter?
I had a really, really good teacher at North Carolina Central University. And I didn't major in art, it was a psychology major.
Oh my
And I could take a painting class as an elective. So I took a painting class with Elizabeth, and she's like, oh, you're really good at this. Like, if you work hard at this, you could really be an artist.
That is something else.
And I was like, really? You know, I was looking for something.
So you were not
Search.
saying I would be an artist.
No, because I didn't want to be poor.
And you know how those artists are.
Been there, done that. I didn't want to be poor again, for God's sake. So I was like, so there was a guy in you know, in nursing, he was like, you'd be a great nurse, you're so sweet. And I was like, okay, I'll be a nurse. But, you know, sort of walking around, but I can't be a nurse, for God's sake. It was taking that painting class from Elizabeth as an elective, and then taking another painting class, and her saying, you are really good, got it, something here.
Well, I mean, that is absolutely unusual, and we didn't know that, did we? That it developed this way, that she didn't have art in elementary school.
Well, it seems like with black people, there's usually a story.
Oh, yeah, there's a story, but I didn't expect
Art
that
is such
one.
a racist thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's a very racist thing, you're right.
And even if you had it, they might have tried to.
But usually, but see, when I was in the
Not for
thirties,
you.
we had,
Right.
we had,
You used to draw. You drew, and then in
I
high school.
painted too, honey.
But mother, in high school, you didn't have art in high school because, art in high school in her time was manual training. It's not an academic degree, it was a skill.
No, in my time, the idea was, in high school, you declared yourself academic or general. Academic meant you were going to college. And it didn't have anything to do with doing art, no. Go on, just do your, academic subjects, and you will be able to go to college if you can measure up.
I think
Yeah.
that was very fortunate for her.
But all through elementary, junior high, I had
I
art.
think it was fortunate for you because when you went to
Painting.
college, you ran into the kids who went to Elizabeth Art. Where? With their training, and she was better than all of them.
Oh boy, that's something, what am I learning on this part? How do you organize your work? So that you can keep up with the work, because you got a lot of work.
You know, a lot of work.
Yeah, so how do you do that?
My assistant really does that.
Really?
Yeah, she has someone that she's working with who's archived, like 2 storage units full of paintings, nothing else in them but paintings.
Wow.
Because, you know, it used to be a lot more prolific. I mean, I could make 75 paintings in a year.
Whoa, whoa.
And so, because there's a certain audience, my audience is fairly narrow, that,
What do you mean?
in that the audience who buys my work to hang on their living room.
Well, everybody who loves your work can't afford to buy for that.
Well, that's very true.
So, you
I've
know,
been told that many times.
But don't leave them out of your audience.
Yes, no, they're completely my audience.
Yes, okay.
So, so I accumulated a lot of.
So who is your audience?
My audience is usually a person that has experience or feels in the margin or disenfranchised in some way. Someone who is, you know, not afraid to be vulnerable and recognizes that in the paintings. Someone that is, you know, strong and defiant, and they recognize it, or they have a real emotional attachment to the conceptual ideas that I'm dealing with. You know, like when I did a series of paintings about my mother dying, there were lots of people. I didn't paint my mother's face in; it was just a line drawing of her face, but the rest of the painting is painted in. And lots of people were coming up to me saying, that is my mother, that was my father, that was, you know, anybody who's experienced that kind of loss. So yeah, that's who my audience is. Now, the people who can afford to buy it, usually, actually a lot of gay males,
Really?
yeah, because they feel in the margin too, because of their.
But not in your work.
Yes,
Sorry.
you know they run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just big collectors.
Mhm. I think that people who have a great appreciation for your skill
hospital for any reason, that they will have whoever's with them take pictures so that I can paint them.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I painted Kim in the hospital, because her husband was nice enough to take a couple of pictures for me. You know, and I painted Ronnie after she had breast cancer and did radiation. So, you know, I mean.
Well, Rosie Thompson just broke her hip, so.
She did? Yeah. She have any bruises?
Actually, she's looking okay.
That's not gonna work.
She's looking good.
Physical bruises.
So you need to paint them in the, while they're under some.
Vulnerable.
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 How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel great.
Great that they're having a problem?
No, but that I can show that they are having a problem. Because, you know, I mean, we all have problems. You know, my cousin fell recently, a black man in North Carolina. He fell and he was taking a blood thinner. So when he fell and hit his head on the corner of the door, all the blood and his eyes got all swollen and he took pictures. He had his wife take pictures for him. And I made like 5 paintings of him. And it was funny because the thing is, so I posted on Facebook and people were like, oh shit, Black Lives Matter. And then, you know, Kim was in the hospital for a colonoscopy, but nobody knew that. And she looked like she was just in the hospital.
Now, we would have never been able to get it.
Right? It made a beautiful painting. Kim, where's the painting?
You know, have you, has she done a memoir?
No, I wanted to.
You haven't done a memoir.
Just the film.
Yeah.
Just,
Raising Renee.
now the film is wonderful, but they're not getting this out of the film, are they?
No.
No, this is important.
Well,
I
this
think
is a
you,
continuation. The film came out in
2012.
2012, so, no, it's not. I'm sorry.
no, you have to, no, it's just 4
But
years.
this is her now versus her when she made it.
Nor has there been a
No, this
retrospective
has
of
been
your
the
work.
way she has conducted her art.
There will be.
No, I've always loved the underbelly.
No, I think you need to do a memoir.
I think that would be great.
Maybe I could do that in Rome.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the other side.
Right, because she's getting the wrong prize. Yes, do it. Because we would never guess any of this, would we?
I would like to write.
We wouldn't. This is fantastic, the way you look in life for the
Opportunities.
what? The parts of life that inspire you.
Yeah.
People rising above their pain, maybe. Or whatever. No, we gotta hear
No,
about it.
you're right. I mean, what I found, because all my relatives know that I'm like searching. Anybody have breast cancer? And so what I found was that a couple of relatives who had breast cancer were like, I want you to see my scar because I survived it. I want you to paint this because this is me now, you know, surpassing it. So, and it, you know, we're human. Everybody's human.
Okay.
That we know of. So, you know, we all can relate to what it's like to be vulnerable or hurt or losing someone that we love or, you know, in the bed sick.
Very interesting. It is apparent that your work has been impacted by racism and sexism. See, this is not a complete question, there's some other stuff here that we didn't even know about. Can you speak to that?
Racism and sexism. Well, you know, when I was in graduate school at Penn State,
It's still not started?
Huh?
Still
Did
I
you just
started
mention it?
in undergraduate, and
He told her to do it.
I kept paying them in graduate
They told
school.
me.
And you know who it was? Richard Mayhew. He was at Penn State for only 1 year while I was there. He's the reason I went to Penn State.
All right.
And then he retired and left me. I'm not bitter, Rick. But he was the one, I'll never forget, he came, because I was distraught, because, you know, my committee was saying, you gotta make still life paintings. And Rick came into my studio with a little drawing that he had done of a woman on a piece of pastel. And he said, look at this. Don't you think this is beautiful? And I said, yes, it is, Rick, it's really beautiful. He said, you keep it, you know, and you paint that.
Well, he was trying to get you to do it all the
Paint
time.
portraits. And that was the turnaround point. So I still have that piece hanging in my house, along with one of.
But he doesn't paint portraits.
He was doing still life. I mean,
Landscape.
landscapes. Yes. So I have one of his landscapes hanging in my house, but he had done a series of women, portraits of women, and he gave me one of them, and that's when I was like, well, I can do what I can do.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's when I started painting portraits.
Far out.
Yeah, so the whole, you know, and then, you know, I mean, I failed at that because my committee failed me.
Yeah.
Penn State, because I made portraits. I had like 4 still lives in there, but most of it was portraits. And they just felt like, they said that I was not prepared to graduate.
You weren't
And
ready.
they said I wasn't ready. This was at I was at my thesis. This was my oral examination. And they said, we're not gonna graduate you.
And so did you appeal?
Did not appeal.
Beverly, was that before or after we were in Florida with Faye?
That was next.
So that's what, yeah.
So,
What year was it? What year
it
was
was
it?
1991, and they said, we're gonna let you graduate. Even though I finished all my coursework, had a 3.6 average, turned in my thesis paper, which was accepted, everything, and they were like, we think you need to stay here another year. And I was like, what? You know, at Penn State.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's Beverly,
It's-
how you tell the story about how you met Faith. Here, you need to give the context.
So it was after that incident, Faith comes to Penn State that fall, not through the art department, but through women's studies.
Yeah.
And I hear that she's doing, and I said, oh, I'm gonna go listen to Faith talk. And I go to Faith, and me and a couple of other graduate buddies, we listen to the Faith talk. And then at the end of the talk, I went down to the front of the auditorium where Faith was sitting. And I said, you don't believe what my name is? And I'm a painter. And I said, this was like at 8 or 9 o'clock. I said, can you come to my studio? Because I had stopped painting. The committee had broken my spirit. I was like, I'm not painting anymore. I said, can you come to my studio and look at my art? And Faye said, oh, honey, I'm so tired. I know. So I was like,
Oh.
I started crying, and I walked back. I turned around, walked back, and my graduate buddy was like, I mean, and Faith said, hey, honey. She said, bring a couple of your paintings over here to me, and I will look at them. And I was like, really? And I ran to my studio and grabbed a couple of paintings, and I brought them back to the auditorium where Faith was. And I showed her the paintings, and she was like, you're really a good painter. And then the people who had invited, like women's studies, who invited Faith, a young white woman came up to her and said, oh Faith, because you leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning, you gotta catch a cab. and, you know, to the airport.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll take you to the airport.
Ah.
And she said, you will? I said, and Faith and I went to a coffee shop downtown Penn State, had some dessert, I told her my whole story, I talked to her, everything, and she said, you know, I like you. And then she said, that's horrible what happened to you. She said, it happens to a lot of black people in these universities that are isolated, where there's no EEOC or NAACP, nothing, you know. And she said, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And she said, I tell you what, I'm teaching a workshop at the Atlantic Center of the Arts in February. This was in the fall, like October, November. And she said, why don't you come with me and be my assistant? And, you know, and I'll get you back painting again. And to me, she just basically threw me a lifeline.
Aw.
So I went to my committee and I said, hey, Ringo has invited me. I knew they were Ringo at that point.
Yeah.
So I said, Faith Ringo has invited me to go to Florida with her, to work with her. She's going to help me with my painting. And can I leave for that month of February to go to work with this master artist? And they said no.
What?
You know, it just continues to. So I went to the dean, and the dean said, oh, Faith Ringo, yeah, go, we'll give you some money. So I went back to my committee and I said, the dean's giving me money and told me to go. My committee said, if you go, you're not going to graduate in May.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I'm going.
Oh, good.
And I went to Florida, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, with Faith, met Faith down there, and little Faith, Faith's granddaughter,
That's the picture.
and I made this painting.
Oh my God.
So my MFA show, so I went, we had a great time. She got me painting again, because I had stopped painting.
You got something?
Just like not painting anymore. And so then when I got back, and I had made this painting and that painting of Faith, you can see the fabric borders, the influence. And when I got back, my committee wouldn't let me graduate in May.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, well, I'll graduate this summer.
graduate.
And they said, you ain't graduate this summer because we ain't gonna be around. And so you have to come back the fall.
Wow.
Came back in December, and I had like 15 paintings with fabric borders, including these two, that I hung at the Paul Robeson Cultural Center at Penn State for my MFA show in December of 1992. Yeah. And then I had my thesis talk, and they were like, we think you're still ill-prepared. And we're gonna let you go because we don't want you around here anymore.
Wow.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
And don't ask
And-
us for any
And they said, do not ask us to write any reference.
Oh, Lord.
We think you're ill-prepared to teach.
Jeez.
Just don't, lose our number.
Wow.
So we're gonna give you your degree, because you obviously ain't going without it. You know, but don't contact us.
Mm.
Whoa.
And so I left there and came back to North Carolina.
Well, you know, in a way of speaking, these kinds of things are beneficial. If you're a fighter, you know, this is
Yes.
yeah. See, if it's too easy and it doesn't inspire you enough, sometimes you can be very talented and take out.
Right.
But when they do stuff like this, you say, damn it, you're not gonna stop me.
Well, Faith, you told me, you said, don't you leave out of there without your degree.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that over the phone. You know, you're like, that's what they want you to do. Don't you dare. And I was like, oh, God, I want to leave.
Yeah.
I so wanted to.
Did you not go back recently?
You know, Penn State love me now. job.
Hey,
I said, please come back. We
yeah.
want you here. Yeah.
It's right. That's the way you really have to have integrity. You have to be a fighter.
Oh, you gotta be a fighter.
Yeah, if you're gonna be timid, it's not gonna work. You're good.
No, they'll kill you. They'll crush you.
And dance with your feelings.
That's right.
It's on your grave.
That's right.
How do you feel about your life as an artist? And where do you want to be going? Is it?
It's a good one. You know, I love my life. I wouldn't change, I mean, the only thing that I would, change is that I would just do more of what I currently do. Like instead of having a massage once a month, once a week. Or, instead of traveling, for a vacation once a year, I do that once every 4 months. I would, I travel a lot, but it's not vacation, it's work. It's always work. So, I have a good life, and in the fall, I'm gonna go, got the Rome Prize, I'm gonna go live in Rome for a year.
Yay.
And paint at the Academy. I'm scared to death.
Why?
Because technically, I really hate change. So I feel really, like the idea of being in a country that I don't know the language, or that's really unfamiliar to me totally, it's going to make me feel vulnerable, and I'll be painting about those kind of things. I'll be depressed for at least a month.
No. No, listen, let me tell you a little story. I've been all over it. And it's wonderful. You're not gonna, oh no, that's not gonna be the case. It's gonna be fabulous for you. And especially with art, I mean, it's not like here in America where you really do have to dig up your art people.
Right.
It's not there.
Art is related.
Yes. No, you're gonna feel at home in many ways.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Yes.
You might gain a little weight.
The food is outrageous.
But you walk a lot too. You
But
walk
they
a
don't
lot.
eat all day. They don't eat all day. That's what's wonderful.
I'm gonna find me an Italian toy boy girl.
That would be the way
All my life, all your life, you've been told not to, girls in the room know this, all your life you've been told you can't be no hoe. Your legs closed. Guess what?
Well, they don't have to. They're not looking for you right now. I don't think. Not in Italy either, by the way.
Yeah, good.
You have plenty of time and opportunity to but it's wonderful. Up and all over. Yeah, great. And art is just there, all in the street, up and down the street, beautiful statues and stuff that you've seen for years are now right in front of your face.
That's amazing.
Are you gonna love it? And you are not, I don't think you're gonna run into a lot of hate or bad people. Now, where do you want it to go though? What do you want it to do next? What do you want to happen next?
What I want to happen next is, and this has been in my, 10-year plan. I do plans for each year. Is that I would love to receive the McIver.
I've been up for it 3 times.
Yeah. But, I don't have any control over it,
No, it's
I'm
very
nominated.
tricky. It's very tricky. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And-
upset myself with it. 3 times I've been up for it. You didn't know, you knew that.
The McIver. No.
No.
Because I was nominated for it, maybe I would like to receive that.
It would be nice.
That would be
yes.
really, really
But I
nice.
don't
That would
think
be
they give out as much money as they used to.
Oh, yes, they do.
They do.
$629,000.
Yeah, but they have to give out more than that.
No.
Check this out.
No.
You don't have, you don't have to pay taxes on it. They pay taxes for it.
Oh my God, that's
No, I need that money.
Well, that would work like, I don't know what it is, but I need it. Let's do it. Let's do this.
Well, it would be nice.
That would really, really,
That would make it for you.
yes. I
They
mean,
found excuses.
I would actually do what
But I've got to.
I'd like to build a second part to my studio, and I would quit my job at Duke. Asta to do, and I would paint full time. And perhaps maybe if I felt like I love teaching, if I felt like I needed to teach, I would hold workshops
Yeah.
for older people, no children.
No entitled Vickies.
No, that's not.
But you got a fantastic financial planner who's going to invest most of it and make it last.
Okay.
Well, you know, I don't know, risk-taking investments, are you talking about? I don't know.
No, not risk taking.
No risk.
No, the slow grow stuff.
Oh, slow grow, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I hope you,
That would just make me really happy.
yes, well, I hope you get it. And, you know, there are certain people who are on those boards that can do it for you or you can,
I know.
so it's really kind of like a challenge.
Yeah.
But you, if you don't get it now, you get it at some point, right?
It's
That's true.
It's very true.
Do you see any changes in the art world today than in prior years? And what are they?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, you know, one thing that's really sort of prevalent to me as an artist, as a woman artist, is that, you know, the people who seem to be rising to the top, just talking about commercial success mostly, are black males who are artists. And, you know, bravo to them. I'm like down with black people getting shit. You know, because you just haven't been part of the canon for so long that, you know, I feel good about them succeeding. However, I am keenly aware that most of them are males and not females. And since I happen to be a black female, it made me feel like, you know, as Bell Hooks says, we got the lowest on the totem pole, even after children. Which is depressing. I mean, it's black women, you know, in terms of access to. So yeah, you know, I'm glad, but I'm hoping that people will recognize. I mean, you know, it's gotten better. There are some women being recognized. It's better in general, but I would say that the people who are really financially reaping the benefits of retail sales are black males. You know, that whole gang at the Jack Shaman Gallery, guys who were 30 years old, they were selling their paintings for $100,000 or more, or you know, I mean,
How about a man?
million, right? You know, yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad I'm not 30 and having that problem. In part because how do you reinvent yourself from that? When you're only 30 and you haven't had the lived experiences, you know, and you're sort of locked in to, you know, like
understand the obstacles that are against you
Yeah.
than to try to act like they don't exist,
Right.
because they do. And, you just have to use that to your advantage. And you've
Yeah.
obviously done it.
Yeah.
And we're very aware of it, and we're very proud of you. We think you are just fantastic. Yeah, question.
I have one. Do you wanna talk about Renee, who is here, who is often so much the subject of your thinking?
That are potholders.
No. Yes, I do. Renee. So Renee is my oldest sister. You're 58?
I'm 57 years old.
She's 57 years old, but has a mindset of a third grader and has epilepsy. So when my mother died 10 years ago, she asked that I become Renee's legal guardian and take care of it. I was like, what? You know, it was a shock. And I thought that I would, my mother wasn't sick when she asked. So I thought that by the time my mother died, you know, you think your parents gonna live forever. I thought I'd be rich and I could hire someone to, wrong. So Renee comes to live with me in Arizona. You know, it really was a blessing in disguise because Renee has taught me about unconditional love. Like, if anybody in this room says anything bad about me, she will cut you. I don't even care who my file holders, she will cut you. Which is pretty fabulous. I mean, I don't know too many people who cut you. So,
We're not saying nothing. Fabulous, we know.
so she's pretty darn fabulous. And my middle sister Ronnie is here and you know has been a big supporter of my life. I mean, like we were at the airport and Ronnie told everybody, the lady that was pushing Renee in the wheelchair and some people she didn't know. I kept saying, don't talk to people when people hurt. Stop talking. And she's like, my sister give me lifetime TV. We going to New Jersey. So, you know, the thing is that it really does, I mean, how fortunate I am to have a family unit that is supportive and helpful and works together.
Very.
You know, we ain't fighting over anything. You know,
Because
and,
that's not always the case.
oh my God.
And,
You know, we think it's like not even the norm.
no, it's not.
So, and then, you know, I have some really, really great friends. And I kept saying about today, I'm saying, God, I feel like I'm going to a funeral. And my sister was like, you stop saying that. You're not going to a funeral. And I said, I feel that way because I think the people who, you know, have traveled far and near to come and be here with me today are my friends who I love. And, you know, we don't all get together like this unless it's a funeral, you know, and or a wedding. So you know I'm not gonna get married.
And why is that?
Because it's hard to find a man that understands that my
And the
first
older you
love,
get, it's harder.
it gets even harder. He has to understand that my first love
It's
is our song.
You know,
And he'll be
I asked my husband all the time if he had known that I was going to be an artist. Would he have married me?
Yeah.
He won't answer.
You plead the fifth.
He won't answer. That's very, I think it's interesting, huh?
That's bird.
He will not answer that.
Into the fifth.
And now he's in a nursing home, you know, he has Parkinson's. it doesn't matter, he still knows that you don't answer that question. But without him, I would not be sitting here today. No, because he's my second husband, and my first husband was a musician, so he was an artist, okay? And the second one did not know what he was getting into. No. I don't think you think he knew?
I don't know.
Well, he knew he had 2 little babies to take care of, the first husband's babies. And that he embraced beautifully.
I don't think you could have possibly imagined how far we've come. I didn't. I could still think this house is, the foundation of all this is such a miracle.
Well, I know I couldn't have done it without him. Because I quit my job teaching. And, sorry, I wasn't old enough to retire. So I was told you have to quit. And the principal of my school cried. Yeah, he cried when he found out that I was quitting because I couldn't retire. So I wasn't old enough. He started crying. Isn't that something? Because he wanted to do the same thing. Family said, she cried. She did what? And he said, yeah, that is something in there. He just egged them on. And he never let it do anything to him. And he will not ever deal with, I married him and quit my job. And he made it possible for me to be an artist. Because without quitting that job, I couldn't have done for them what I wanted to do, and be an artist too. So I got to give up the art thing and just concentrate on it. And I wanted them to have the best of everything.
There was a
I
point
couldn't do it without him.
when none of us, me and Barbara, none of us had jobs. The only person working was Dad. And he said, I'll take care of all my girls. That's all right, you don't never have to work.
But his family didn't think about it like that.
I didn't mind him of that.
They would have done it. What the heck? What's going on? Married you. Who gets up? Private school, everything.
I have a question. Your self-portraits are amazing. I mean, you're obviously, I mean, I can't visualize you looking in a mirror and painting a picture like this. So how do you get that kind of life from self-portrait?
Yeah.
I paid for photographs.
Really?
Yeah, this is a photograph, and this is a friend of mine, Dorothy Prostein, who is Philip Prostein, the artist, his wife.
Really?
And yeah, they're good friends of mine. Dorothy's currently dying, anyway. These are, Dorothy had these lovely red sunglasses, and I said, Dorothy, where'd you get those glasses from? I love them. And she's like, oh, I got them on the shop. Anyway, so I went up there and I bought them in sunglasses, the same frames. And this was during a break at Hilton that I was just standing out in the sun, and I took a picture of it with my iPhone and decided that I wanted to paint
So
it
that's from a selfie?
for myself.
But still, these paintings have the color and the composition that is not in any photograph. None. None.
And these are great.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I learned growing up was to learn color theory.
Oh, okay.
You know, like Joseph Albert's Interaction of Color. I know that book.
Yeah.
You know, how to see color, how to do, I mean, that's how I learned. But also I learned that when you're painting from a photograph, the last thing you want to do is erase, the last thing that you need to do is erase the fact that it came from a photograph. So that means compositionally you have to set it up so that it doesn't look like it came from a photograph. You have to design the canvas in a way that looks like, you know, it's not
So you're just using the photograph, but not completely
Not
at
gonna-
all?
yeah. So like this image of my dad with the birthday hat on, first of all, it doesn't have a ball on it. I put that was extra that I added. And the hat was just some ugly something. So I made that hat up.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
And then I always try to make the backgrounds look like, I think about Mark Rothko paintings.
Right.
Layering and color trickling through. So, the background colors have,
Fantastic
4 or
use
5
of
layers.
That's in no photograph whatsoever. That's wonderful. Anybody else with a question?
I have a question. I'm totally taken back by the story of how you two came to be and the influence of what you've done with Beverly. What I'm also impressed with is the fact that Beverly is paying it forward with regards to her teaching the next generation. And I think you should talk a little bit about how that is one of your strengths. You will very much have influenced another set of artists by making sure they don't have those unpleasant experiences at universities elsewhere. And so talk a little bit about that.
Well, I totally believe in giving back. I mean, that's just, people gave to me, so therefore I feel,
Absolutely.
an obligation to give back, especially to women and minorities, because they need that help more than, white males. Although I have had some white male students that were at Arizona State who did very well, and who are doing well today. But, I think my student, Michael Dixon, who studied with me at Arizona State, is, now the chair of a department at Albion College, and, practicing artist, receiving awards. Just always trying to, give back and help out. And then another student, Debbie Tomlin over there, who's a painter, who moved out to Arizona when I was at Arizona State to live with me, and so she could take my painting class and learn how to paint. So I totally believe in giving back and paying it forward. It's one of the reasons that I taught at North Carolina Central University, my alma mater, because when I was there were no black artists painting working there. I was taught by a white woman. She was very much, who did still lifes. That's how that started. And so I taught at Central for 7 years because I wanted the black students there to have a black painter teaching them about portraiture. So, and several of them, which is not the norm, have gone on to, they just graduated, one just graduated from UNC, it was his master's degree in painting, and another one just graduated from SCAD with a degree in painting, master's degree in painting. So, that's really, 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 really important to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, when people, I do this plan where I say, well, what do you want people to say at your funeral? And you say, I'm obsessed with that. As I'm working on painting these paintings of my cousin who died. But I say, I just want one student to stand up and say she was generous and that she did, she gave to me. And then I tell the people that I'm teaching that, you gotta do that in order for that to happen. Otherwise, people just lying. Everybody got an uncle that everybody hate. He was a drunk, and you go to his funeral and everybody says, he was so nice. So I really try to walk the walk so that it's not a lie at my funeral. It's really true.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Can you talk more about your mom and how did she convince you that you could become anything you wanted?
My mom was very traditional. My mom was a domestic in the South. So she cleaned houses and raised white children. That's what she did for a living. So she provided for us. And she did so by, she basically, by example, by her own life and her own pride in cleaning these houses. And, she would set up little still lifes on the coffee table and just really design the area, you know, and not really thinking, oh, I'm not an artist, but I'm like, look at that, who can do that? So she did it by example, and she also did, you know, by some of the people that she worked for weren't the nicest people in the world, and but she just like, I'm gonna pray for them. I was like, fuck prayer. They don't need no prayer. They evil. And she's like, oh, Beverly, don't be that way. So. Sorry. So what she did by example, she was like, you know, I don't care what you do, you just do it to the best of your ability. Like, do not half-ass it. She taught all of us that, which is why Renee's half-ass it.
Oh, I think
Which is why Renee makes potholes so meticulously and,
oh,
you
don't
know.
half-ass it.
Yeah. You know, it's why, you know, my sister's, you know, an assistant principal and like gives to all those little children that are from all these different countries that have been, you know, in some ways displaced and they're poverty stricken. So she really taught us by example to, you know, to give back and to do whatever I don't care what it is, whether you sweeping floors, you just better be the best swept floor. Anybody else?
I have one question, I know everybody wants to know this, who has noticed. In that image of you, that's you, right? On the left?
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no face.
Right.
And
Yeah, what's the story?
I related it back to the story you were telling about that school and what they were doing to me. But I don't know if that was an expression of that.
Well, you know, I was undefined at that time because remember, the Penn State was like, you ain't no artist.
They're trying to wipe
You
you
know,
out.
trying to erase me. And Faith was trying to say, oh, wait a minute now, you can paint. And she invited me to the Atlantic Center for the Arts.
They still
As
operate
her,
Atlantic Center for the Arts.
yes,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
That's fabulous.
She invited me as her assistant. So, so I was there and, you know, with Faith, and then little Faith was there too. I think she was
That's right. I
10
told
or
her
11.
Age 35
Just-
now.
Unbelievable. She's a grown up. She was just a little girl and,
PhD in
It's Dr. Baby Kid.
Wow.
wow. Good for her. Good for her. So, and there's a couple of people here that were that I met for the first time during the residency at the Atlantic Center for the Arts who have remained my friends. Vicky, who flew in from California, and Ann Rose, who came in from Atlanta, Georgia. So, but I met them at this workshop that we were teaching at the Atlantic Center for the Arts, and we remained friends. That was in like 1991 or 2,
Yes.
92.
Yeah, right.
So that was forever ago. So.
That's when you were back to me.
Can you talk about the phase you went through when you were doing clown faces and your faces?
Yeah, clown face.
You know, I wanted to be a professional clown before I ever wanted to be a painter. And and so in high school, me and my sister Ronnie would dress up in whiteface because we were going to predominantly white schools. And we were like, well, you may be black, you gotta be white. Like, yeah, so we put on whiteface and white gloves and covered me and Ronnie. And we go to birthday parties and do like community centers, we do circle to the fair, the local fair, etc. And so I was like, I like this, you know, because nobody dressed up as a clown, nobody could tell that I was from the projects or a woman or poor or on welfare. I mean, nobody could tell any of that. So I was like, you know, this might be a pretty good gig. So I tried out for Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
You did.
Did, Faith. They said the average age to try out for clown college is 25. I was 25. So I tried out for clown college. I didn't get in. At the time, it was a complete boys club.
Yeah.
The women that they had in circus were men dressed up as women. And they were all white. So what a dummy.
Really, that's going too far.
So they didn't work out.
Well, Penguin's out of business.
They sure are.
They are.
They went out
This year.
Yeah, they're done, they're done.
60 or 70 years.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
They had black masters
The
and
only
ceremonies.
circus I know is the black circus. There's a black circus.
But you know what?
That's what I'm saying, the only circus that's working is the black circus.
Really?
Bob and I take her kids to see her.
I have a lot of self-portraits in whiteface
Soul circus.
with a blonde wig, and I have lots of paintings of me dressed in blackface with a afro wig. Yeah, I went through that whole paintings called "Mammy, How I Love You," which referenced my mother's occupation as a domestic worker, and dressed in blackface with an afro wig, holding white baby dolls, carrying one. So it was, the clown thing was a big impact.
Yeah, because it seems like you reverse from a white clown to a black clown.
I
You
did.
see that as the history of the blackface.
Oh, what did we get? No, well, see, what happened was,
And
I was
blackface
white,
was clown. That's what
Yes.
it's for.
I was
Yes.
completely white clown, and then I saw a performance at Duke University, you know, this was in the early 90s, and I saw these white people dressed in blackface. And I was like, whoa, I could be black. I couldn't even sleep at night. The next morning, I went out and went to a costume store, and I bought blackface and an afro wig. And those were the first paintings that I made of me in blackface. You know, and I mean, I just had watermelon at my house, so okay, I ate some of it. You know, and made these paintings, and then I put them out. I wasn't even thinking about Al Jolson or black stereotypes or any of that. All I was thinking was, I'm free from being white clown. I had liberated myself, and to me, I was sort of embracing
You extended the
who I
clown.
was.
Sort of like a reverse.
Yeah.
But that did cause controversy for a while because people saw, particularly people, African Americans, saw it as the opposite, that you were a.
That's exactly right. So it was a real, I was like, black people were coming to me saying, you must not like black people. I was like, what are you talking about? What? You know, because they did take it that way. And I was just like, no. I was like, no, it's liberation. I'm better. It's part of me accepting me. And do what you want. Yeah.
You're an artist. You can make your own visual conception of whatever it is. That's the freedom of being an artist. You really can. If you will. Yeah, blackface.
It does.
All right, anybody else?
I have one question.
Yes.
And this just has to do with process. You talked about photography as a starting point for what you do, but obviously they become very, very distinctive in terms of form and mark making. And so when you see a Beverly McIver painting, you know it is. And I was just wondering to what extent that limits you or frees you up, that your mark making, the way you put down paint, your drawing, all of those things just identify your work. And so I see you as a relatively young artist, and I'm wondering just where how limited you are or how free you are by the ability of your paintings to be so identifiable to you.
I think that the paintings that are identifiable as me reminds me of, I think it's a strength, number one, because I think it's very difficult to copy my paintings. Because I think people today, artists today, they're not learning the color theory, and that was a pain in the ass. I don't know if I would learn it again either. It was really hard, you know, to understand color, and I also think that artists perhaps aren't making themselves vulnerable. Like whatever you feel when you look at one of my paintings, I felt it when I created it. And I pushed that emotion into that painting. And so I think, you know, I think because young people are so like, what I call the microwave generation, and everything's quick, fast, and influenced by cartoons, which I never watched cartoons. You don't have to be able to draw, and let's move away from influences, Western world art, which is what I was totally part of. So I think it's I think the distinction of saying that, oh, well, it's not likely no one's gonna copy what I do. There are not gonna be 10 Beverlys out there. You know, that's not gonna happen. So that's the good news. The limitation is, and I hope that I can work on this when I'm in Rome this year, is that I don't have time to really experiment. Because I'm always under a deadline. I always have to create for show. I can't really explore and try something new because I don't have time. That's a luxury.
That's wonderful.
So do you anticipate after Rome coming back with a different touch? Is that something you look forward to, or something that is intimidating?
I love to explore. I mean, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm painting flowers. You know, I don't even like flowers. I mean, I don't go outside. I'm not an outdoor person. And, you know, all my friends, you know, we go to a restaurant, they say, the great sit outside or inside. All my friends, like, they want to go outside. I'm like, I'm not going out there. You know, so they know to take me inside. I'm going to be in air conditioning and look out. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look out there. So the idea, you know, I have some time, I'm trying things, you know, with painting flowers for the first time in my life.
Wonderful.
And you know, I do like, I mean, I have some, you know, some daisies that came up, and I was like, oh my God, who planted those? They're beautiful. You know, so they're there, and I'm looking at them every day, and, but it's connected, it's linked right back into my cousin Sharon, who died last year of diabetes. So I'm painting her dead, but the tulips, and out of her pushing up daisies. That idea. So she's dead in the background like this, in the bed, but there are flower daisies in front of her. So it always swings back around to that vulnerability, you know. And I got, was that email from you, girl? Did you send me an email talking about how I should like paint flowers and be happy?
Paint flowers and be happy.
Some Facebook, her friend said, your flowers are beautiful, and they have the paint quality that you have in your portraits, you've transferred them to your flowers, and it gives us the opportunity, it's really a very lovely email, gives us the opportunity to really appreciate your paint quality and your painting technique and your skills as a painter without all of the conceptual ideas that you basically burden your other work with. It's just these beautiful flowers, they're beautifully painted. So someone wrote that to me.
I think that's why we overlook that story.
Yeah. No,
It's
yeah.
been- it's my-
No, and then people start asking me how much you want to sell them flowers for. So, you know, if I really wanted to make some money, I could stop paying my dead cousin and paint some flowers, some tulips or something.
I have a feeling that even when you paint flowers, there's gonna be emotion, there's gonna be a message with those flowers.
And dead flowers.
They die all the time.
My friends know me well. I mean, I put perfect flowers with attitudes. They all die, and I was like, oh, yeah, they look more beautiful now than they did when they were alive.
It's not the worst thing that can happen. Dying.
No, I totally agree.
Not at all. A lot to be said.
Somebody's got a question.
I wanted to ask you, you probably get this a lot. There's a lot going on in the world, and especially black bodies can see, I listen to what you say, and I've seen, and I can see what you're doing. And, when you start talking about sick people, dead bodies, things like that, all of this has, it's so painful.
It is.
And I'm wondering, as an artist, when you're processing what your next subject is going to be in terms of choosing, you know, do you try to avoid this that's going on because it's too painful, or or do you not have the time? Because as you say, you're always under deadline, and as you know, we have exhibits and whatnot, you are under stress and you're under time and all those things, and you don't always get to do the things you would like to at least try. Do you think that this will show up in your work in some way?
It already does.
Okay.
I mean, the truth is that, I don't choose what I paint, it chooses me. Fortunately and unfortunately. So if I go to my studio, I'm like, I'm gonna paint something happy. And then it's like, oh no, we're gonna paint about Sharon and having diabetes and losing 2 legs, and Sharon had 3 prostheses. She had 3 prostheses left in her house when she moved, which my sister was about to throw away, and I was like, that's a good still life object, let me have it. So I'm totally interested in painting because diabetes is a big problem in the Black community. And I don't know, I mean, I asked Sharon, I said, if you had known you were gonna lose both your legs, be in a wheelchair, lose your fingers, you know, get glaucoma and not be able to see, if you had known all of that, would you have exercised and changed your diet? That's what I asked her. She was only 60. And she said no. Because the only thing I have control of is what I can stick in my mouth. I'm not gonna let you take that away from me. And I thought, wow, how many other Black people? I should go to every church in the South. You know, people have diabetes. It's like, you know, you think, well, you don't know? Do you not know? She would stick Cheetos in her mouth, or like send me to go get her a piece of cake. You know, I mean, I was an active participating, basically killing her. Because she was 60 years old, and I would, you know, you want a piece of cake? What? What am I supposed to say? You ain't supposed to eat that cake? You know, she didn't want to hear that. It was the only control she had in her life. So then what she could eat, even though it was killing her.
The irony is that food controls.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, I think what happens is when you eat, you think at the time, well, this time it's not gonna affect me, because I have a personal, association with diabetes. So it's like, okay, I'll have a piece of cake, but it's not gonna hurt me today. Why? It's
So
just
it's
on
only
my
one
own.
day.
Today I'm gonna be okay with eating that piece of cake. And then, of course, you realize, so for a few days, you'll say, okay, you know, I won't eat. And then, okay, let me try it again this time. This time it's not gonna hurt me this time. But it does.
Well, it's an addiction. How about half a piece of cake? I give her half a piece of cake.
That she would have one leg.
So I have loads of paintings that are too challenging. My assistant can attest to them. Paintings of Sharon in the hospital, about to die, getting ready to, they've never been seen. Nobody wants to see that. You know, and I'm making more of them. Or like my series, Loving in Black and White, where, you know, I look like I'm having sex. Talking about how to love somebody, you know, like when I moved to Arizona, and when none but white people out there, and I was ready to get married. I was like, oh, where's the Black people? And then